The new cabinet has been unveiled. CTV's Vashi Capello sat down for an exclusive interview with Prime Minister Mark Carney just after the swearing-in ceremony at Rideau Hall.
We will change things at the federal level that need to be changed in order for projects to move forward.
Does that include C-69 or the emissions cap?
It could include both. Absolutely could include both.
Mark Carney's cabinet features 24 new faces, as well as some longtime ministers. Carney says his new cabinet will be leaner and more focused than previous governments. CTV News Political Analyst Tom Mulcair joins me now to talk about the new cabinet and takeaway. We're going to find out what your takeaways are for that. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning, Rosie.
Okay, so Tom, Prime Minister Carney is calling his cabinet leaner and more focused. What do you make of that?
That he's from the private sector, that he's been at the highest level of the public sector, that he knows what works and doesn't work. And he looks at Canada's performance over the past few years and realizes that we talk a good game, but we can't get things done. And that's where he's going to change things. He's put in place a cabinet that has, yes, some seasoned veterans. Yes, that lent itself to some criticism by the Conservatives saying, well, look, it's a whole bunch of people from the Trudeau era. But that's only half true, because half the cabinet is made up of new faces, and it's probably the right balance between experience and, energy from the newer people. There is going to be a lot of energy in that caucus, and energy itself is going to be a key focus for the Carney government, because he understands that we have this blessing of natural resources across the country, but that it's a lot of frustration right now in the resource producing provinces, in particular Alberta and Saskatchewan, and he wants to address that. And he also realizes that it's in the best interests of the Canadian economy writ large. So that's going to be the focus: getting things done, moving into the energy sector, keeping an eye on the environment. Julie DeBruzen, out of Toronto, she's going to be a very good environment minister, but we're not going to have the type of conflict that we had with Stephen Guilbeault when he was there. And I think that that's also part of the message that we're getting from Mark Carney. Let these things move ahead, do it responsibly, respect sustainable development, think about future generations and everything we do, but let's start getting the Canadian economy going again. I think that's the key message.
Tom, there's some interesting changes. Mélanie Joly is no longer Foreign Affairs Minister. That role has now gone to Anita Anand. What do you think of that and some of the other interesting changes to the cabinet?
Well, Anand's appointment to Foreign Affairs is being regarded very highly. She's an extraordinarily competent minister. She was about to leave if Trudeau was going to stick around, but she stuck around when it became clear that there was going to be a change of leadership in the party. And I think she did the right thing, and Canadians are lucky to have her. Mélanie Joly is now an experienced cabinet hand. She wanted, she says, an economic portfolio because she's trying to top off her curriculum vitae. Her resume didn't include any work on the economy or on financial matters. So she'll have that now at industry. But at the same time, it has to be recognized that she had a great deal of difficulty at foreign affairs. There were major conflicts with some of our closer countries. Some of that had to do with Trudeau, but we could think of China and India. More importantly, a longtime ally in Israel was particularly hard done by interpretations and applications of rules by Mélanie Joly. I mean, her incapacity of explaining Canada's position on South Africa's request that Israel be declared guilty of genocide, it was incomprehensible and indecipherable, and it caused a lot of harm for the Liberal Party's relationship with the community across the country. So she's gone, and that was predictable. But see if she can bring energy and talent to industry where we need a lot of hard work. There are people who have noted in the past she has a very parochial attitude. She looks at what's good for her politically first. So, for example, is the auto industry in Ontario going to be hard done by? Is it going to be treated fairly? It's a key component of the Canadian economy, so that remains to be seen.
Some other high-profile ministers staying in cabinet include François-Philippe Champagne in finance and Dominic LeBlanc as trade minister. So while there are a lot of new faces here, why do you think it was important for Carney to keep some of the old guards in the fold?
Dominique LeBlanc seems to have a particular touch for dealing with the Americans. You know, it's that very open, friendly attitude of his that matches what you get often south of the border, but you also know that there's a toughness there. And I think that LeBlanc is capable of going toe-to-toe on that. But if you break down his ministerial responsibilities, they're not huge given his experience. And he was finance minister just a few months ago. Now, François-Philippe Champagne's appointment to finance is a bit of a mystery, and I'll tell you why. The Liberals went out of their way to recruit an outstanding candidate in Carlos Letao, who was Quebec's finance minister and cleaned up, Rosie, the most absolute mess in public finances you've ever seen in any province in Quebec when Philippe Couillard came in 2014. It was disastrous. And he did a masterful job. He stepped on a few toes, he pushed a few things, but the Liberals saw in him exactly the talent set required to set the Canadian economy back on track and take care of public finances in this country, which, again, are in a mess similar to that of Quebec just over 10 years ago. They recruit him. He gets himself elected in a riding in Laval, north of Montreal, and lo and behold, he disappears from the scene. Now, there's something behind that story. And I am told on background that in fact, there was talk of sending Champagne somewhere else. He thought he had a deal when he declared that on his own that he was the partner of Mark Carney, and he seemed to believe that he had a deal for finance. Did he push that to the ultimate limit with a threat? Who knows? Was something else finally offered to Letao? We don't know. But that will eventually come out, and it really appears to be one of the few blunders of yesterday's appointment process. Leaving somebody of that skill, that talent, that ability on the sidelines is just inconceivable, as the country needs exactly that skill set.
Tom Mulcair, CTV News Political Analyst. It's always great speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Great to be with you, Rosie. All the best.
Thank you.